Nuno, you were a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
What's your feeling about that challenge? Is it a foul?
It's a lack of consistency that is happening in the last seasons of the Premier League. The allowance of grappling, blocking, holding. I think everybody lost a bit of what is a foul or what is not a foul. We've seen things similar before being judged a different way. So that's what upsets me really.
The referees today and the VAR had a lot of courage to stop, to analyze the action properly, and to give the opportunity to the ref to make the call. And I think nobody would disagree that once you've seen it live and clear, it's a clear foul because David has the ball almost in his hands.
When you're looking at a screen for 5 minutes, in the end you're going to find something that you've been sent over there to look at. You know, it's a lot of grappling, there's a lot of holding in the box. But do I think it's the right decision? No. But, you know, we have to accept it. The game's done now and we've lost.
That's an enormous victory under intense psychological stress and pressure.
It's been like this all week, and we go to today's match in a really good emotional state, but understanding obviously the necessity to win again after City's result.
Mikel brought on Martin Odegaard, and I thought in that little cameo, he's only on the pitch for about 12 minutes, but immediately he's seeing things, he's got that vision and that pass.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, everyone knows what Martin can bring to the team. He has so much quality on the ball, and what he does there to provide my goal is amazing. And those moments wins you games as well. And yeah, credit to him to get me to that ball, and I'm happy he did it.
Your window to stay up is smaller now than it was this morning. It's going to be hard.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's not in our hands. We fight for it, and we all keep on fighting.
Today I realized as well for the referees, I mean, to be in that position, a team that is going maybe to relegation, a team that has the opportunity to win the Premier League, to make that call and change the course of one of the two teams, what a responsibility. So yeah, that was a big call.
Well, I'm not sure if the consensus in the studio is that it was a courageous decision. However, an indication of just how big a decision it was is that Darren Cann, our refereeing analyst, joins us in the studio, former Premier League assistant referee. Shay in particular and Danny have thoughts on this, but this is just you and me for a little while, Darren. Explain to me, and you didn't make this decision, but explain to me what you think the referee's process was.
Yes, well, when the corner comes across, we see a challenge with lots of players engaging. In particular, we see Pablo with his arm across David Raya, but also crucially holding his arm as well, impeding him so that he can't actually catch the ball. From this reverse angle, we see also Todibo has got hold of David Raya's shirt as well. So two West Ham players, unfortunately, are fouling the goalkeeper, one holding his arm, the other holding his shirt. And whilst it wasn't picked up on the field, understandably, it had to be reviewed by the VAR because a goal resulted and the correct decision was made. It is a foul on the goalkeeper.
I would think, Shay, as a goalkeeper, you would think that's disgraceful. Goalkeepers should not be held back in that way. Is that what you thought?
Yeah, well, I think when Darren breaks it down, like in the cold light of day, it's probably a foul. But the thing that sort of grates me a little bit is we've seen it numerous occasions with Arsenal this season, goalkeepers getting blocked off, defenders getting blocked off, and the goal stands. I mean, a couple of goals stand to mind is the Bayern one at Old Trafford. I think Emi Martinez gets elbowed in the face. Them goals stand. So I think everyone's frustrated, Darren, about the consistency of the refereeing decision, why them goals are allowed to stand and today's was disallowed, because it's so much at stake at the bottom of the league and at the very top. That's the thing. And the other thing, Darren, it gets to me a wee bit as well. Gabriel's holding, Odegaard's holding, Trossard's holding before the foul even happens to Raya. So when does the referee pick that's the foul I want to pick and not the foul previous?
Well, there's a lot of things to kind of look at, and we will come on to the other incidents that are happening around it. But surely the point, Shay, is that the correct decision is reached. That's what we want from consistency, is consistently correct decisions. And if you think this is a foul, then it should be given as a foul.
Well, you're right in that, what you're saying, but I've seen numerous goals from an Arsenal point of view given that I think was a foul and not given, so then the consistency is not there. They've scored 27 goals this season from set plays alone, Arsenal. That's a Premier League record, and you could sit here all night and go through every single one of them. I bet you an Arsenal player's fouling somebody leading up to goal. Not everyone, but there's a few of them very, what's the word I'm looking for? Better not say anything dodgy here. Dodgy, I've said it now.
The controversy and discontent around Arsenal being given this goal, West Ham not being given the goal, is because it's Arsenal. They can't be held accountable for decisions in the past that they might have benefited. Yes, they're physically intimidating. Yes, they're brilliant at set plays. But the VAR officials have got to say what they see. And it's a clear foul. And just because it's Arsenal sorted, it's not. It's a foul, and there shouldn't be any controversy to it. The only reason is because it's Arsenal.
When Jared Bowen gets in and goes, "Why does it take 5 minutes for the referee to look at it?"
Because there was so much going on.
It's not a clear and obvious error. There's lots of things happening. It's just frustrating sometimes.
Yeah, I think we don't want 30 seconds and then get the wrong decision. Yes, 5 minutes is a long time, but it's such a crucial decision that we need to get the right decision. I'd much rather the right decision that takes a bit longer than to take 30 seconds and get it wrong, and then the title is decided on the wrong decision, and maybe relegation is decided on the wrong decision.
And Darren, to go back to the point that Shay was making earlier about the consistency, not just across different games, but even within that one instance, because there were lots of confrontations going on, lots of grappling going on within the box. Obviously, the referee and the assistants are going to find it difficult to look at everything. That's what VAR is there to do, though. How do we make this clearer for referees so that they can get the right decision and focus on which incident is the most important?
Yes, I feel that the time has come now for a law change whereby no attackers are allowed in the 6-yard box before the corner is taken. So at goal kicks, forwards are not allowed in the penalty area. At corners, they shouldn't be allowed in the 6-yard box until the ball is in play. That would create natural separation and give the goalkeeper the space, so we wouldn't have these endless debates. And lots of teams grapple at corners, sometimes before the ball has come into play, and obviously the referee can't give a penalty or can't give an indirect free kick if the ball is not in play. So this would create that natural separation and eradicate these kind of situations.
Would that protect the goalkeepers, do you think, Shay?
Too much.
Too much, perhaps. I think on a goalkeeping point, at that goal alone, I think David Raya was in the space too soon, actually. I think he needs to give himself a bit of space and come in fast and come in, jump over the top of people. He was there standing, then he can't get off the ground because he's not getting momentum. The only thing I was just going to ask Darren briefly was on the grappling before it gets to Raya. When does the referee pick out that that's the Raya foul is more important than the, say, Trossard and Odegaard fouling a person before it gets to Raya? How do they decide which is which?
Yeah, when two incidents happen, it's the incident that has the material impact that will be judged. Mm-hmm. So a bit like a penalty taker feigning when he takes the penalty kick. If there's encroachment at the same time, then the encroachment is ignored because the more serious offence is the person feigning when he goes to take the penalty kick. In this instance, we have the dropping zone with the goalkeeper. That's where the material impact takes place. That's where the foul is. And so, yes, there are other incidents as well. I've given my solution as to how I would get round that. But the main situation, the foul on the goalkeeper, was picked up, and ultimately we end with the correct decision.
2 games left to play now for Arsenal and for West Ham. Arsenal obviously going for the league title. West Ham looking to stay in the Premier League come the end of the season. A 95th minute goal is ruled out because of a VAR intervention. Is this, and there've been big title calls, big relegation calls, but because of everything, do you think this is the biggest call that's had to be made by VAR so far?
I do, Kelly, yes, and I don't think anyone would want to take place with Darren England, who was the VAR. No one would want to be sitting in that chair this afternoon. But he stepped up to the plate. He gave the right decision. And yes, it's the biggest call I've seen in terms of VAR in Premier League history.
I'm not sure, as ever, with these decisions that we're ever going to change anybody's mind, but hopefully that's gone some way to explaining what's gone into making that decision. Darren, thank you so much for coming in to talk to us. Lovely to speak to you.
Pleasure.
Danny, one of the other things that you wanted to take a look at from Arsenal's point of view was the fact that Mikel Arteta was making some strange substitutions in that game.
Well, the life of a manager, the stress he must have gone through. Look, Ben White got injured and he decided to leave Declan Rice at right back, which was probably the wrong decision, but he changed it at half-time. I understand why he did it. And then in the second half, they struggled, Arsenal. Even though Declan was back in the middle, they were probing, but they lacked creativity. They were running out of ideas. I mean, West Ham defended really well, don't get me wrong, but you can see Zubamende, who'd been brought on into the middle of the park in the first half, maybe a little cute pass from Saka here. It was all a bit desperate. What does he do? He uses his strength in depth. He brings on Odegaard and Havertz. Odegaard made an unbelievable difference, but he took off Zubamendi. Now, that's a big call for one of your top players. He subbed the sub, and he took Eze off, and I'm sure some of the Arsenal fans were thinking we should leave him on, but what he did is as soon as he come on, he goes on a little press on his own here, but you can see his energy. Right, I'm going to try and inspire the other players. Come on, get with me. He's also good at getting on the ball. He hasn't had his best season, but he's got that ability to get on the ball and make things happen. He was really, really positive. And this strength in depth that Arsenal have in their squad now has paid dividends in recent weeks. So many players coming up with moments. And yeah, he for the 12 or 13 minutes he was on, he made a real difference. But Arteta's decisions won him the game in the end. Whereas he could, that was a brilliant ball from Odegaard, by the way. But he could have been we could be sitting here now crucifying him for some of the decisions he made. And this is a brilliant goal, little give and go, brave on the ball with Declan Rice, who's again in the central areas. But this is it, the patience, the awareness, waiting for the space for Trossard. And yeah, this is the life of a manager. I mean, he made some decisions today that some people didn't think were correct, but he reacted really quickly. And that's the good sign, a really good sign for a manager. Right, I've tried something, it's not worked. I'm going to change it again. So he changed it at half-time, he changed it in the middle of the second half, and he got the rewards.
Talking about decision-making under pressure, nowhere more so is that evident than in a goalkeeper's position. And David Raya with potentially a match-winning save there from Fernandes.
Yeah, when he made this save, I saw it a few years ago, I think, when Ortega made a save similar at Tottenham. I think Son went through in a 1v1 situation, and it was a big key moment. I think when they went on to win the Premier League, remember Pep on his knees, like going, that's a big opportunity. But this chance today, David Raya, Fernandes clean through on goal, 1v1 situation. We just sort of slow it down. I mean, Fernandes actually played really well from West Ham today, but I think he takes an extra touch here, and he didn't need an extra touch, and that gives David Raya the opportunity to make the save. But just keep an eye on David Raya. Watch the way he's balanced, and watch when Fernandes comes through. He doesn't go out and commit himself. He actually he gives the decision to the striker, as in the forward player, to make that decision. And this moment, this was 5 minutes before the Trossard goal. This is such a massive save in the scheme of the Premier League title. You know, Arsenal have got one hand on the trophy, and that's one of the reasons. See Arteta's reaction as well. He's thinking, oh my goodness, thank goodness for David Raya. There's his record. Look at the save percentage, goals conceded, unbelievable. And I think that's his 18th clean sheet this season. 3rd season in a row, Golden Glove winner. This guy is the real deal. And again, that save today, I can't speak highly enough. Unbelievable save. Yeah,
he was already confirmed as having a share of the Golden Glove. Now it is outright his for this season. And the title race bubbles on. Where are we now, Danny, do you think?
I think they're in a great position. They really are in a wonderful position. Obviously, the game's coming up. You'd expect them to win. The Palace one at the end because they got the European finals. Fell nicely for Arsenal. So it's done for me. I think it's done.
I think that the biggest hurdle was today. I really do. Away to West Ham, fighting for their lives. And obviously we talked about the controversial finish to the game. But again, you talk about bottle, I suppose, as we mentioned a few times, they showed a lot of bottle today to get it done, to get it over the line.
Well, we will talk more about the relegation battle and the implications for West Ham once we've found out what happened in another of the...
Amid a certain amount of emotional exhaustion at the London Stadium, off the back of a heart-thumping, gut-wrenching football match, at the end of which Arsenal are 2 games away from being the champions of England, Gary, but, I mean, what a tale to tell.
Yeah. I don't know where you start, really, other than the fact that there is always a game that goes down in folklore when you go on to win a Premier League title, where the emotions, the roller coaster, the ups and downs of just thinking you've lost it, you've won it, you've lost it again, you've won it again. And from the David Raya save to the Trossard goal to the disallowed goal for West Ham at the end, that was 10 minutes that Arsenal fans will never forget. There are Arsenal fans who might be in their senior years who remember '89, who remember the drama and the thrill of what happened at Anfield that night. And obviously there are big moments at Old Trafford with Viltord and Overmars back in the day where they won titles, but that will be right up there with them. It can never match '89, I don't think, because that was just so special. But yeah, if they go on to win it in a couple of weeks' time, they will have been through the mill today. But there's always, I mean, I said partway through the second half, there's always one like this. And I think it had all the hallmarks of a title-winning half. The keeper's save, let's just hang on that for a second, because the keeper's outstanding, and he has been outstanding all season. He did his job brilliantly today. But your keeper will need to make a huge one-on-one save at some point in a title-winning run-in, where almost like I said, time stands still, and it's like, and you goosebumps, and you're almost like you can't believe that that's all happened in probably 1 or 2 seconds in total. But it felt like forever for me. It just felt like, oh, it's here. And it was Son against Ortega.
Yep.
A moment a couple of years ago. Obviously Arsenal were on the wrong end of that, and so many more. Gundogan at the back post against Villa, I think, in, you know, obviously Aguero's. These moments that just sort of come, you know, Steve Bruce against Sheffield Wednesday, these sort of, you know, just these sort of moments come through today to me, and there's probably a load more. But that Raya save was the start of it. That's where you're thinking, right, okay, I used to say this thing when it's happening. You know, you could smell a title when it's happening, because things like that happen. And these Arsenal players have never won a Premier League title before, but if they ever listen to the Gary Neville podcast, which I doubt they do, something's happening. Something's just happened out there today that you can't put down to skill or anything other than you're just looking up there and thinking everything went right for us. And then they score the goal. A bit of quality, a 1-2 between Declan Rice and Ødegaard. And I have to say, Ødegaard, when he came on, was very important, because when everything around you is really fast and it feels like there is a fire burning, you need someone who's cold. And I thought Ødegaard actually provided some real composure in the last 15 minutes. I thought he was really important. Just someone who just makes the game slower, who just gets a control of it, who plays that final pass with the right pace, to the right angle, to the right foot, and he did it perfectly. And then, the drama of all dramas. We think Arsenal have lost it. We think West Ham have scored. Manchester City fans at home are celebrating. Tottenham fans are thinking, oh no. And Darren England, it's all eyes on him. We actually at the start don't know. I mean, one thing at the start was it over the line? That was the thing that I think I was thinking. But it looked over the line from me, and Declan Rice, as it turned out, was way behind the line. But then we see, obviously, a VAR check for a foul on the goalkeeper. And I think that's the biggest moment in VAR history in the Premier League. And for those who maybe, and there are a lot who aren't fans of VAR, and maybe rightly so, but tonight it could have just made Arsenal champions, and it could have got a decision right that wouldn't have been right. And I was wondering whether Darren England had the courage, had the nerve to overturn, and what was he going to do in this moment. And I have to say, we get the luxury, and I wish all fans at home and I wish all fans in the stadium got the luxury of VAR, of being able to hear them, because to be fair, he was composed, he was walking through it, he was talking to the referee, he was talking to obviously his compatriot or his colleague who was sat next to him, and he walked through it perfectly. He checked everything around it. There was a little foul by Declan Rice behind, I think, that was maybe after the Raya foul. And just the fact that Pablo just had his arm, if Pablo had been jumping like this, I think with leverage as a defender, as an attacker would do, then I would have said no problem. I think that he should be entitled to go for it. But he didn't. He just had his arm there, and he wasn't looking at the ball. He wasn't looking to play the ball, and he was looking just to sort of impede the goalkeeper. And he left his arm in that sort of location for a second or two. And I think that is the problem. If it's just one of those where you're sort of just going up as a sort of like a movement, then I think maybe that's something that he would have got away with. But that prolonged, lasting sort of arm across the sort of what would be this position here of Raya, to me, has to then call it. And Darren England made the right decision. And Chris Kavanagh gets called over to the VAR screen. And Arsenal breathed the biggest sigh of relief probably that those fans have breathed for a long, long time.
You have to say I'm exhausted. Did Did Arsenal play well today?
Arsenal play well today.
Does it matter whether Arsenal play well?
Well, it doesn't matter. At this stage of the season, it actually doesn't, to be fair, Peter. It only matters if you get over the line. I thought they started the game really well. I thought the first 15, 20 minutes, they were really positive. I thought they had something going down this side with Trossard and Calafiori. They had something going on the corners and the set pieces. They were playing it forward. And when you've got a team at the bottom at the start of a match against a team at the top, it can be their weakest moment. But if they get through it, they start to grow and start to get encouragement. And that's what happened. And there was a big moment in the first half. And look, Mikel Arteta, this is a game changer for Mikel Arteta. I mean, obviously winning the Champions League is huge, but it will not give him the credibility that a Premier League title would have given me. Absolutely will not. You have to win a Premier League title, I think, to get the credibility as a manager, where he's been in an endurance test, a marathon against Pep Guardiola, and he's got to come out on top in one of these sort of what would be clashes to see this true credibility. Of course, you'll get plaudits, and you'll be a legend if you win the Champions League with Arsenal, but if you win a Premier League title, I think within the industry, within the managerial sort of what would be landscape, you go on to a completely different level. And he got a little bit lucky today, Mikel Arteta. And it's not for me to start telling Mikel Arteta how to coach a football team or how to make substitutes, but sometimes it's just glaringly wrong. First of all, Ben White hangs his leg out, and I think I made the point on commentary. And by the way, I'm going to tell a story now. I actually have done what Ben White did. I did it in training, and I went out for a drink on a Saturday night, which I never did, ever. But we didn't have a game for 10 days, and it was the right moment for me to go out and have a drink on a Saturday night. And I actually did my medial ligament in training on the Monday morning. And I went in for a challenge, and I can't remember who it was with. And if you go in for a challenge, a block tackle, and you just hang your leg out away from your body like that, and you lean back a little bit, you'll get that rock of your sort of knee, and you'll basically, particularly if someone goes in solid, so you have to lean into it and go really in strong, put your power forward and really go like, you have to really block and sort of make sure you set your thigh, you set your core, you make sure you lean forward and everything. If you just do that and hang your leg out, you've got a good chance you'll do your medial ligament. And Ben White did that, and he'll regret that, because that could see him out of a World Cup. We don't know, we haven't got the diagnosis yet. But they're usually 4 to 6 week injuries, which would be obviously a big problem for Ben White in terms of not just a World Cup, but a Champions League final and a title running. Let's hope it's not that bad. But that type of injury comes from that challenge. And then Mikel Arteta brought Zubimendi on. And I remember I think it was our director said, Zubimendi's coming on, because they sometimes get the nod from the floor manager down beneath, don't they? From Brett's down there. And I was like, Zubimendi's going, and I went, OK, well, I've never seen Miles Lewis-Skelly play right back. That was my immediate response. I was like, and I went down to our stats and research team and said, has Miles Lewis-Skelly ever played right back? And they went, well, there's no evidence of him ever playing right back. I'm thinking, well, Calafiori must go over to right back then in my head. And I didn't say that, but... And then he went and put Declan Rice at right back. And straight away I thought, no. No, for a number of reasons. One is, I think you're taking the energy out of midfield. Secondly, I think you're disrupting 2 positions rather than 1. So if you bring Mosquera on at right back, you're just disrupting the defence. You're not disrupting the defence and the midfield. And the big thing is, you cannot take Declan Rice out of central midfield. Now, I know Roy Keane played in the early parts of his United career when Paul Ince was there, I think, a few games at right back. And Steven Gerrard, believe it or not, I think played a few games at right back as well. But in the early parts of his career, you can't move Roy Keane and Steven Gerrard in a game of this magnitude out of central midfield. They are forces of nature. You can't move Declan. I'm not giving Declan Rice the same sort of level yet as Roy Keane and Steven Gerrard, but he has that level of influence on Arsenal. And when Declan Rice went to right back, it didn't only do the things that I've just mentioned from an Arsenal perspective. I reckon I'm absolutely certain those West Ham players on the pitch, Somerville will have thought, oh, Declan Rice, not played here before, he doesn't know the position. I think the midfield players, Fernandes and Souček, will have thought, I've got Zubimendi and Miles Lewis-Skelly rather than Rice. I'm really happy in here. And also, from a defensive point of view, you're taking away Declan Rice's sort of energy. So West Ham all of a sudden start to get space, they get room. The midfield looks a little bit more vacated. And it was a really, really poor decision. And I'm comfortable to say that, I think, because Mikel Arteta accepted it was a poor decision by the fact he corrected it 15 minutes later at half-time. So he knew it was a poor decision. And I don't think he can sort of try and sell that, oh, yeah, I was always going to do it just till half-time. And it was just a really bad decision. So at half-time then, it further exacerbates by the fact that he has to take Calafiori off, who I think's, I'm using the word force of nature, but down this left-hand side, I mean, he's not Maldini by any stretch of the imagination, Calafiori, let's be really clear. But you understand the sort of similarities I'm sort of pointing toward. He's got that athleticism about him that when he runs forward, it's very difficult to stop. You then put Miles Lewis-Skelly at left-back, which he's not played for. I mean, he's played there, of course he has, but you've taken him out of midfield now, so you end up with Rice and Zubamendi, which wasn't as effective in the last few weeks. That's why we've ended up with Arsenal playing Miles Lewis-Skelly and Rice. And you've ended up then having to make another substitution. So it just, exacerbates the situation. And he was always chasing his substitutions. And then towards the end, when he would have had a substitution left, if he got the first one right, he would have brought in Capia on for Miles Lewis-Skelly at left-back, I'm sure, and had a tall back four. But he couldn't do because he'd used all his subs. The good one he brought on was, Ødegaard. Because Ødegaard was a game changer out there for Arsenal. He really was. He came on today, he took that captain's armband off Bukayo Saka, and he really did deliver in that last 15 minutes. Not just with the goal, just his moments of just basically sort of bringing a level of sort of class into a game which was really poor quality. And so, for Mikel Arteta, you asked me the question, did Arsenal play well today? No. The most important thing is they won. They got over the line. How they got over the line, who the hell knows in the end? We don't even know ourselves. But I have to say it was an up and down day for Arsenal fans, but it was an up and down day for Mikel Arteta during the game with his substitutes.
Is it conceivable they'll drop a point now, or do they beat Burnley and Palace? And are we done?
I think they'll. Ordinarily, when this happens, Arsenal beat Burnley. I think City beat Palace. Yeah. I think Arsenal beat Burnley. And I think Arsenal win it on the Tuesday night, the 19th of May.
When City are at Bournemouth. You're backing Bournemouth to take something from City.
By City not doing the job at Bournemouth. It can happen all sorts of different ways. And Manchester City, to be fair, have got that ability to go right to the end. But I think this is a hammer blow for City, really. They've got the game Wednesday against Palace. They've got the cup final against Chelsea next Saturday, so they can win a domestic double, which is a big achievement, by the way, and deserves some congratulations if they go on and do it. And then they've got to go to Bournemouth on the Tuesday. And I think that could just be maybe a step too far with how Bournemouth are right now, and it's been Iraola's last game at Bournemouth, and just the fact they're a good side. And they're the type of team, I called this today a dog of a game for Arsenal. It was a dog of a game, this. I think the game a week on Tuesday is a dog of a game for Manchester City, and I think that's when it, in my mind, if you're predicting it now, I think Arsenal will win it without kicking a ball on that Tuesday night.
For Arsenal. So just finish by telling us that.
Yeah, we had such momentum. Arsenal have got such momentum right now, beating Atletico Madrid over 2 legs. City dropping points at Everton. Winning today in the way in which they have. Winning today in the way in which they have is far more special than winning the game 3-0. You'd much more like... You'd love to win games 3-0 so you're comfortable. But winning that type of game builds your confidence, your resilience, your momentum more than anything else. They should be absolutely in dreamland tonight, these Arsenal players. They should be unstoppable. They should be absolutely unstoppable. Nothing should be able to stop them now. There should be no obstacle that you could put in front of them that they wouldn't be able to just get out of their way. Because they've got past Atletico Madrid. They're in a Champions League final. They've got through a game like this, their last and toughest game, that we looked at and thought, it's a horrible game. And they've still got a job to do in the last 2, but I just don't see how you can't be unstoppable. And then you get to the final of the Champions League, and they've somehow got to think about their defensive ability and strength, and how can they over 90 minutes beat a team that are better than us. They are. You can't get away from that, PSG are a better team than Arsenal right now. They've demonstrated that over the last 2 seasons by winning the Champions League and getting to a final again. Back-to-back finals is some level of performance. So Mikel Arteta, but it gives him, is it 10 days, 2 weeks to be able to prepare?
Well, less than that.
Is it 31st, is it?
It's the week after the final Premier game.
But he's got 2 weeks from now, is he? Yeah, he's got 2 weeks from now, but he's got a week after the end of the final. Look, he's got a week to prepare to think about how he can become not only legends of the club by winning a title, to win Arsenal's first Champions League, and in a season where they win the Premier League for the first time in 22 years. I mean, you're talking about... This is a game changer today for Mikel Arteta and the Arsenal players. Winning this and the Champions League puts them onto a different level. And that's going to be tough because they're playing against a team who are absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. But it's 90 minutes of football. But what a lot they have to look forward to. And it felt like the right moment for us. Yeah. For now, it feels like the right moment for me for Arsenal to win a league. It doesn't quite feel like the right moment for them to win a Champions League. It feels like PSG could be the right moment for them to win back-to-back and for Enrique to put himself up there with the godlike managers that have done this. It feels like more that than maybe Arsenal winning a double. But it doesn't really matter. If Arsenal were to lose in that final and win the Premier League, I would still say it's a sensational season. And if they were to go and win the Champions League and the Premier League double, it would be yeah. I mean, that's putting them into a different stratosphere of sort of what will be credit and belief and legacy. But we still shouldn't forget about Pep Guardiola, who might still have something to say. But it does feel like now it's Arsenal's.
Wrap live from the London Stadium, where we've had the huge game, of course, here, where Arsenal have beaten West Ham by a 0-0 to go 5 points clear at the top of the Premier League. Watching all day with me, Kevin Nolan, Theo Walcott and Owen Hargreaves, and we are delighted to be joined as well by the Arsenal skipper Martin Ødegaard to begin the show as well. Well, first of all, congratulations. That was chaos, that was mad, but how does it feel at the end of it?
Yeah, no, it feels amazing. We had to dig deep. We had to fight for it, and this is the Premier League. It's never easy, and we got there in the end, so yeah, amazing feeling. Right, before the gentlemen go in, let's get the elephant out of the room, because what were you feeling when West Ham was celebrating at 1-1? There was a lot going on in the box. I think there was a lot of holding there, and we all had a feeling that something was wrong, so you can see they pulled David, so he can't get up there, so yeah, that was the feeling, and luckily for us, we got there in the end. Was that an agonising wait? Because it's a huge call in terms of the season and the title, isn't it? Yeah, it's, of course, you're a bit nervous in that moment, but of course, big relief after the game when we got over the line, so really happy.
Do you wonder why sometimes it takes them so long when they look at it for so long? Because I think that's what creates a little bit for the players and for the fans. That's why they get frustrated. Shouldn't take 4 or 5 minutes for a decision like that. No, I mean, ideally you want to get a quicker decision, but I think we have to understand as well it's a big decision for both teams, so and it's a difficult decision to make, so ideally it has to be quicker, but that's the reality.
Oh, give us an insight into Mikel after those scenes in the dressing room. I'm sure would have been exciting, but not just tonight, but the Champions League as well. I mean, the environment that Mikel set, and you players as well, has been exceptional. I mean, today you can just see the togetherness when we're sat behind the bench. Everyone's willing to win, and I feel that's the change in Arsenal Football Club. I mean, just show us some insight into that. Yeah, I mean, we're proper like a family, always fighting for each other, and we've been through a lot together. We've had a few difficult moments together, we've lived a lot together, and the other day going into the Champions League final was a massive moment for us at the Emirates with the fans, and in the dressing room after was a big moment, and today as well, and there was a good atmosphere, so it's nice to share these moments together, and let's stay calm now and look for the next, but it was a big moment to celebrate. And also David Raya making the saves. What a save that was. What a save. The first up, but the second one, I just have to ask you about him. How important has he been this season? And the block from Gabi as well, they've done that the whole season. It's incredible to see how the effort they put in, how much they love to defend the goal, and all of them, to be fair, in the back there is unbelievable. So a lot of credit to them. David again with the most amount of clean sheets, is massive for us. So a lot of credit to them. And a 0-0, you said it was tough and tight, and Owen said to me,
they need to get Ødegaard and Havertz on, and you did. So
I tell you what, Martin Zubimendi wasn't happy. They had to come on and come back up. But you know what? It probably was right call because you needed a couple of playmakers. Obviously, Martin comes on, Kai comes on, and you can kind of overload the box. And
yeah, I think we had to try to change a little bit the momentum of the game. I thought we
talk us through it.
Yeah, just tried to make something happen, you know, to combine, and it's really tight there with 5 in the back, and yeah, I just had to go for it, and it was a nice 1-2 with Deck, and I managed to keep the calm there and find Leo, and he's always clutch in these moments, you know. So
Leo's always in there, isn't he? He has like a feel for it, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he knows when the goal's coming.
He has the smell for the goal, you know. He's always in the right areas, and he's always there in big moments, and I'm so happy for him. He really deserves this moment, and well done to him.
And just finally, before you go, when the full-time whistle goes and that emotion, that adrenaline comes out, what does it feel like when the goal goes in and you see this reaction? I mean, you're 2 wins away from a 22-year wait.
Yeah. Now we know what we're playing for. Obviously, it's massive, and you can see how much it means to all of us. I think if you see us every single day, how much we put into it, you know, that's why it means a lot. So yeah, it was a big moment, crucial for us to get the win today, but let's stay calm, let's look for the next game, and let's get everyone together, let's get the body right, you know, and prepare well for the last 2-3 games, and then we'll see.
Okay, well listen, really well played today. Thanks very much indeed for joining us.
Well done.
Great to see you. Martin Ødegaard live for you from the London Stadium at the end of a dramatic day. He, of course, one of the heroes, but ultimately it was Leandro Trossard's first goal of 2026 that won it. And here are the thoughts of the Belgian.
Well, Leandro, as you walked into this room, you said, "Oh my days." Have you ever experienced pressure, emotion, tension, joy like you've just felt?
I think this is one of the toughest ones in general. Obviously, when we scored that goal, was a lot of joy, but then we had to dig in at the end to not concede, and obviously with that penalty incident, with the goal, I mean, we're just happy that we won.
So in those, I don't actually know how long it was as we speak, but in those moments where you think they've equalised, what are the emotions? Do you feel like it's all gone, basically?
To be fair, David said straight away it has to be 100% no goal. So I had a lot of faith at that moment and belief, because he was pretty convincing. But you never know, obviously. And then you were thinking, it's not going our way. But luckily it was a foul, and we won the game.
Yeah. When you see the ref then make the square, I guess it's a whole new set of emotions.
Yeah, it's again relief at that point, because it's not long to go, and you have to still dig in for a couple of minutes. So we're just really happy with this one.
Listen, you got the goal, and again, I just said to you as you walked in, it was a real sort of guttural roar when the ball hit the net. Again, tell us how you felt.
Yeah, again, just pure joy, because we knew what we had to do, and that's win today. We created some chances in the first half. It was tough work, because obviously we know what they are fighting for as well, and it's a tough ground to come to. So I knew at that moment it got us up in front, and we had to just keep the clean sheet.
Yeah, and after a little wait for you personally for a goal, you picked the right time, Leo.
Yeah, I take it. Obviously, it's a great time to score and get the win today. So it's another 2 games for us, and hopefully something nice is waiting for us.
Yeah, like you said a couple to go. It was mentioned in commentary that some games just feel like they're the one. They're the one that we'll look back on and say, that was where they won it. Maybe you'd be mad to stand here and say that now, but do you know what I mean when I say that?
No, I understand, but obviously I think you have a couple of times in the season where you have those moments, and maybe today can be that moment. After the season we will look back and we can say that this is the one who brought us there, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. We have 2 games to play, and we need to win those as well.
And as we wrap this up, one last one on David, because there wasn't just a foul at 0-0 a couple of minutes before you scored. He made what will probably be looked, or may well be looked back on as save of the season because of what it meant.
No, exactly. I think he has helped us a lot already this season, and you can see his quality in goal, the amount of saves he can do, and also different types. So a lot of credit to him to keep us in the game.
A lot of credit to him, a lot of credit to you, the player of the match.
Thank you.
And the match winner. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Well, he's right. He's the player of the match. He's the goal scorer. But Theo asking Martin Ødegaard about that save. This will go down if Arsenal win the title as one of the iconic saves in Premier League history. How good? Because most of the West Ham fans around us were up and out and celebrating, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, Fernandes, who was incredible all game, he just had to lift it. However, you sometimes don't see goalkeepers save it with their feet anymore as well, actually. And he's probably one of the best to do it. I think David De Gea was probably the best in previous history. However, he's just stays strong and he keeps his composure, and he's just mentally strong to be able to not do much in the game at times and then be able to make moments like that. It was just special. I mean, it's an incredible save because, you know, when you have that and as a defence, you know, you got so much confidence in him, and it just breathes that energy. But look, I mean, I don't need to speak. It's just an incredible save, isn't it? Oh, goodness me.
Do you know what? I think that long ball, the little 1-2, Fernandes' anticipation for the second ball, love that. Little 1-2. I'm just not sure he needed that last touch. I think with that last touch, I think David Raya made his mind up from what he was going to do. But he's such a brilliant goalkeeper, most clean sheets. And again, I'm not sure if he needed that touch. David Raya, I think, read him. Once he took that extra touch, I think David Raya read him. He was going to come inside.
It's one of those, when you come in, you got to just flick it with your
toe
right foot. Toe put, no, even flick it. The second touch, he doesn't have to take it. Because the ball's so close to him, that's when you just have to flick it. I mean, he did a really classy flick when he made a good clearance, actually, in the first half. And that's all you have to do, is just lift it. And he maybe overthought it at that time. But look, you've got to give credit to the save. It's a
huge moment.
Yeah.
You could see Nuno thought it was...
It's nil-nil at that point as well. You know, that then gets the crowd up on the feet, the right behind it, and then Arsenal start to put a bit of anxiety in the Arsenal 11, because it was there up until then. You know, West Ham were going toe-to-toe, probably had the better chances of the second half, looked more likely to score at that moment. So yeah, I mean, it was a massive moment, but he's done that all season long, or I'll even go far as back saying since he's joined Arsenal. You know, he's become probably one of the best goalkeepers in the world, and there's a reason why they've got 18 clean sheets. You know, and as Martin said there, it's because of the lads who are in front of them, the way they want to defend, and the way, you know, let's not forget, I think it was Gabriel's block, you know, just as Callum Wilson comes on. But yeah, fantastic. And look, if they end up winning it in the next 2 games, it's because they've deserved so, and it's because of days like here where they've had to grind it out at this moment in time, and that's what they've done. And then that little bit of quality from Martin Ødegaard and Declan with a nice little bit of a 1-2, and then to have the composure to lay it off, and then, as we said, you know, Trossard, who's, you know, he always, you know, picked Johnny on the spot, really, isn't he? So fantastic, and they've been great all season long. So let's see if they can finish it off.
Yeah, because that is 18 clean sheets in 36 games. David Raya, he's either shared or won the Golden Glove in all 3 seasons as an Arsenal player, and he's won it now, incidentally, this season. And we were talking about iconic saves, Owen. It reminded us of 2 years ago, Stefan Ortega, when he had to come into the Manchester City team away at Spurs from Son, and of course they went on to win the league as well, and people talked about this save, and it had a feeling of today about it, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. I mean, I think you said it, Steve, straight away. You know, that could be one of the biggest moments, and you know, you need your goalkeeper. That's why it's one of the most important positions on the pitch. You know, you need goal to step up. He wasn't very busy today. That save from Ortega was exceptional, but David Raya, he virtually never makes a mistake, Steve. He's always in the right position. He's brilliant with his feet. He's calm. I mean, what a moment for Pep. But again, I think for Mikel, that save from David Raya could potentially help them win the Premier League trophy.
He was also the one in
ironically,
the first half.
That was from his feet as well, wasn't it? Ortega?
There we go. Look, you can use your feet.
Spanish goalkeepers.
The one in the first half, no, let's not forget that, you know, from Castellanos, you know, late on the first half when Wan-Bissaka went down.
True, yeah.
And put one, it was a good header, you know, very good header from near far out, and you'd expect a lot of keepers, but it's a big moment at that time when West Ham were just getting themselves back into the game after having a real tough 20 minutes or first 20 minutes. West Ham got themselves into the game, and they probably had the best chance, and he produced a fine save.
Are you surprised where West Ham are, considering how they play today? You just want more of that. Why is it taking so long?
This has probably been since the turn of the year.
Right.
You know, I think that, you know, if you come and watch them probably before, well, I'd even say, you know, before Castellanos coming, Pablo, and the recruitment, what he made in January was crucial, and then it seemed like they've sort of just clicked and become a better team in the second half of the season. I think if you look at it, you know, they wouldn't be in the bottom 3 in that with the way they're playing. But look, this is I feel this is not just about this season. This has been, you know, a lot of bad recruitment in the last couple of years, ever since David's gone. It's been tough with the recruitment of managers. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because I've got a lot of love for this club, but you are where you are because of them bad decisions, and there's been just too many of them, and that's why they might find themselves in the EFL next year.
Let's go back to the big moment though, that took 5 minutes almost to rectify that. We were talking to the Arsenal skipper about when West Ham thought they'd equalised, given on field, and then Darren England and VAR asked the referee Chris Kavanagh to have another look. Are we all happy on the day that this is the? I mean, it's a huge call in the Premier League title race and survival race.
Yeah, look, we've spoken about how long it takes, but look, he's obviously been pulled. You can see it in the second view here when it comes up, when his shirt's been pulled as well. But not just that, Pablo as well comes in the second action, and it disrupts him. I don't feel like David Raya was going to actually claim the ball. However, he's definitely intervened, and it's a decision that's disappointing when you look at it in the West Ham front, because they deserve something out of the game. They really did. However, when it takes that long, that's the very disappointing, because the fans don't know what's going on, and that's the sad truth of football, what it's come to now. And even to the point when we're watching football, my son has to ask me, can I celebrate a goal? I'm like, you're going to have to wait, just because VAR coming. And we don't want that. But when you look at the decision, I feel like they did come to the right one in time.
Which is the crucial thing. Are you in agreement with that on the day, that is the correct decision to rule that goal out?
Well, I think if you're going to look at the stills and the slow motions ever like that with his arm on him, you're not going to give that, right? So, but again, we've kind of created this situation where set pieces become such a feature, and you got 18 players from 22 in the space of 8 yards. So then I think it's very difficult this season. You've seen it a lot. The goalkeeper can actually do his job. Everybody's bumping him. Arsenal have been the best out of it, by the way. That's why it's so ironic that the goal happened the way that it did. I think obviously Pablo's got his arm on him, and then I think Todibo's pulling his shirt. And I do think you should be allowed to do your job in this division. It shouldn't be about me just, I'm not standing up on you. So do you know what I mean? I think I've not become a fan of that development of that where everything's just crowding the goalkeeper. I think there's been 267 set-piece goals this season in the Premier League. We're only going to get more if we keep allowing these situations. I don't know how we fix it. There's too much time on throw-ins.
So what are you saying? It's the right decision today, but it hasn't consistently been right throughout the season?
I'm a fan of seeing the boys decide the game on the pitch and not guys on screens. And if it takes you over 5 minutes, that's too long. Obviously, Dan England, I think he's the one that said, go have a look at, or he looked at it for 5 minutes and then sends the referee over. But I just think it takes.
Can you understand that, given the magnitude of of which way the result was going?
No, I can. Obviously, it's a massive decision for both. I just prefer the players deciding the game, Steve, not people on screens. And I can understand why it took that time. But I just want to see the boys decide and not people looking at screens. I just think people come to watch this game. This is why this game is the best in the world, because of the boys out on the pitch and the way that they play. And I think now we're having too many moments where we're looking at screens at stills, and I just think it takes away from the whole thing.
You have teams as well. We have teams as well that will probably train for it as well. Yeah. They kind of train for VAR, set pieces, and think we could probably win something here. And I feel like that shouldn't be the case, but essentially you're kind of using VAR as a positive, really, to try and get those kind of fouls and those decisions, because they look at it so in depth now.
Because they all come off the bench. The set-piece coach is off the bench right away. He's looking for the blocks. He's talking about it. The goalkeeping coach is looking at it because he's looking at his goalkeeper, saying he's been impeded. But like Jared said, what goalkeepers got to realise is that they're going to have them infringements. You're going to have contact. They are the most protected player on the field of play when anyone ever touches them. If that's a player, I believe that goal stands because of the way it is. Because if you look at that little bit of a clip, Declan Rice has actually got his both hands round Mavropanos at the back end of it. He's got his both hands, so if he misses it completely and he's underneath, he's pulling Mavropanos down. So I mean, if you look at him here now, he just grabs all of them. Look, there you go, both hands, and now because he's lost them. If now that drops to Mavropanos, would that now become a penalty because he's now stopping him? I don't know. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. And we could look at that and keep looking at it and keep looking at it. I think it's because of this, that pull there. I think that's the reason why it got knocked off. I don't think it's because of the Pablo arm. I really don't, because I don't think that impedes him enough to do it in the end. I think it's because of the first contact where he's pulled his shirt.
How would you feel if you were on the current coaching staff in that West Ham room at the moment?
We got sent off it.
Kev would have been in there, wouldn't he?
Well, funny enough, a member of the West Ham staff did get sent off today, and I did think of you. Yeah,
Look, I would love to have, and I know it's all hindsight, but I would love to have seen it the opposite way round. West Ham be 1-0 up, Arsenal score that goal there, everything else, and then see it how it was if it would have been still the same, because I feel like Arsenal do it the best. They do it the best, and that's why they've scored so many goals and been so consistent, and because they work hard on them. I know that anyway, and we worked really hard at them when we were here at West Ham, and that's why we were really good at them, both defensively and offensively. So they do it the best with the blocks and the stops and stopping keepers from getting out and everything else. So I'm sure if you go back on all their set-piece goals this year, I'll bet you there's been an impediment on a goalkeeper for them, and they've got the benefit of the doubt. And that's the inconsistency. That's nothing to do with Arsenal. That's them taking advantage of what we were just talking about, and they've done it brilliantly well. The sad thing about it today is West Ham's been on the receiving end, and that could ultimately put them into it is in the relegation zone, but could get them relegated for the end of the season.
But the Arsenal players have been on a 5-minute roller coaster there, haven't they? They're thinking, oh my goodness, we've let Manchester City back in. We're only going to get a point, and then at the end of the review, they've ended up with 3 points and one hand on the trophy.
No, 2. No, I mean,
you said it. You've got to say it.
I think as well as players, when the referee goes and looking at it, as well. You kind of stand there, and I just feel it's not a great look. It's not a great look as well when you have 22 players surround the referee, and he's got voices in his ear, and he's trying to make a decision because it's a major decision as well. He's got to be really sure, and that's the difficulty these referees have when they got people talking and trying to doubt their decisions, and that's hard. And I feel like referees should just referee how they see it. And that's why I've not been a fan of the AI anyway, and I'm with you. I feel like it's all about moments football. That's great. That's why I loved playing football. That's why, my boys play as well, and I think that's the enjoyment. That's starting to go, and I don't think we should have that, because just to see excitement and West Ham scoring was incredible. The atmosphere, the scenes, and then it just deflates everyone. And you can see the anger and frustration. It's not pretty to look, and I don't think that's a good look for the league.
You didn't genuinely believe that? The joy of seeing West Ham score here.
I did
incredible.
when it was disallowed.
He said that with a straight face as well. Brilliant acting from Theo Walcott.